back to the Racing Channel. Welcome back. Chevelle video. So last time we did a Chevelle video, I'm gonna post the link right here. We got a lot of things done, but we didn't get enough things done. So I'm gonna show you guys what I got done and what I didn't. Went on a hunting trip, spent a bunch of money on a bunch of other stuff, and now it's time to try and knock this thing out. And we'll start with what we're doing tonight. So beer's gonna happen. We're gonna rip these door panels off, and I'm gonna put some bead rolls in them because Kate's car turned out freaking dope, and I'm jealous because I did these door panels like 10 years ago before I had ever used a bead roller, and I feel like that's a little unjust. So we're gonna pull the door panels off, throw some bead rolls on them. So first thing, I had this clapped out hydro handbrake and had to replace the master cylinder because we were losing all of our brake pressure and had no brakes. So we went ahead and replaced that and probably have brakes now. We'll find out tomorrow. Went ahead and replaced the ball joints because one of them was clapped out because I did accidentally love tap a curb because that's what happens when you test new things on the street. Not always good. Went ahead and checked the wiring on the MSD box and it looks like it's good now. I did have a bad connection. It was wired 10 years ago when I was younger and smarter. So we'll see if that's the problem or if I need to buy a new MSD box. The main thing is these Zennies are 12 years, 15 years old. So I ordered new tires and they cost an exorbitant amount, but we'll have new tires, which means proper safe tires on the entire car so we can go back to driving it. So tonight we're gonna bust these door panels off and do something a little bit more fun. And then tomorrow we'll test drive and see if any of this stuff we did actually works. Well, evidently, 20-year-old me was not very good at cleaning up cut edges or riveting straight, but I did think to silicone the door panels on so they didn't rattle. So Cody's fighting that currently. So I'm imagining this is going to go well into tomorrow because peeling them off is its own process. And it also took us about 20 minutes to get the door handle off because I guess
in your infinite wisdom, you also forgot to put a C-clip in there and just...
I think I...
ooga-dooga it in place.
I don't know what... I think I might have epoxied it on. Either way...
It's gone now.
We're going to try and get one door panel done tonight? Boom! One door. Nothing too crazy, it's just got an X on it. Nothing too wild. We use the biggest die. It looks better and it's got a little bit more structure to it, but nothing too crazy.
It was fast. It was fast and it was easy. It gets the aesthetic you like.
It makes me happy. I like it. It looks very utilitarian.
Well, we got a good dimple out of it given the thickness of the aluminum too.
Yeah,
so
I mean that's some hardy stuff. So, it's getting later than I anticipated by the time we got done messing around. So, I'm going to do the other 4 tomorrow, and then we'll do a test drive and do a thing. Day 2. One door done. Got to do the other 3. So, I'm going to go ahead and pop off the driver's side door panel and do another one, and basically just repeat the process. So, let's get it done. And there you have it. It's a very simple bead roll, nothing too crazy. Just an X on the doors. And I replaced the chintzy hardware I had with some stainless hardware, and I feel a lot better about it. 10 years later, I finally got around to rectifying that. So the next step is obviously test driving the car. We replaced that slave cylinder, master cylinder, I guess it's a master cylinder, for the hydro, and it was making it so that the rear brakes were bleeding a bunch of air into the brakes, so we gotta make sure that we still have brakes. So we need to test drive it for that. We also need to test drive it to confirm that the ignition box is good, that it was a wiring issue and not that the box has actually failed. Car fires up just fine, but under load we need to see what it does because that's where we were seeing the most of our problems last time. All of that requiring a test drive. It's late in the afternoon after getting the doors done, and I've had a few beers, and we do not endorse drinking and driving here, so we're gonna wait on that. So we are gonna move the cars, play musical cars a little bit in the driveway, and get the Chevelle out of the garage so I can pull the front valence off because I need to repaint it, and I'll show you why. All right, so the front valence here is Inferno Red, which is a nice color. But the car is not Inferno Red. The car is actually Ford Toreador Red. And you might see that there is a difference. But at the time when I purchased this can and painted that front valence, I didn't realize it because this one was in the Ford Toreador section of the paint rack. So now it's time to pull it off. It's gotten damaged over the last year, sitting under a cover anyways, so I gotta repaint it as it is. Now I can rectify that color and make it right. So we're gonna go ahead and shoot this lower black section because it's gonna set up immediately when we bake it on with a heat gun. So we're gonna go ahead and do that, and then we'll go ahead and add our color, which is the actual color we need. We went ahead and scotch-britered everything. I actually de-ate it. And then Kate went ahead and took everything off because she's the best. So, get a little bit of that, move on. Well, painting this was a bit of a disaster. So I wanted to do a nice, easy paint correction where I got the color right and then threw a little bit of touch-up paint on the bottom. And that's not really how it went. I tried to scotch-brite it and do the thing, and I had a lot of chemical separation and orange peel and all kinds of freaking issues. And it looks pretty terrible. But my goal wasn't to start a week-long bodywork project, so I knocked it down as best I could. It looks fine from about 20 feet, and that's enough for me. Especially if this thing ends up hitting cones, or like it did last time, just ending up getting rock chipped like crazy. So not too super concerned, but really disappointed with that. So I might go back at some point and do that, but that is not today. So I'm gonna get it back on the car now that it's the right color. What do you think? Is it better? Yeah. All right. You'll have to excuse the audio being messed up here. Whenever I step out of the garage, the mic picks up the wind really badly. But basically what I'm saying is I'm happy with the way it turned out, considering it was supposed to be just a quick sidetrack, and then I needed to get more concerned with actually fixing the ignition, which was preventing me from actually driving the car. So, you didn't miss a whole lot here. It's Friday, been a long week, but my Mickey Thompson showed up today. So, looks like we get to put those on there. So I gotta get that thing jacked up, go ahead and get those front wheels off, and take them down, have them mounted and balanced. So these are the new Mickey Thompson Pro Comp 2s. I actually run the same size tire on all four corners on this car when it's set up normally. So these are 275 40s by 17s. You can see they're about 11 inches wide. So they're a pretty good beefy tire. We'll see how they work. If I'm happy with them, I'm gonna go ahead and order another set. Maybe change my profile a little bit, but pretty happy with this because it makes it so I can rotate them out and ruin 4 tires at a time instead of just the rears. So if you're new, the Falcon Zennies that are on there, we're not supposed to be on there this long. I was using them for mock-up so I could check the clearance on 275s, and then didn't want to spend the money on new tires on a car that I don't drive that much. So I've been kind of putting it off, but I finally got them, so we're gonna go get these bad boys, put them there, because they are super sketchy, dry rotted, and nasty. So don't want to have a blowout or anything like that, so we'll go ahead and get that fixed so that that's nice and safe. So it used to be that getting a 275 4017 was like a really expensive tire because it was a unique tire size that was pretty regular, but with all of the modern muscle cars around, Mickey Thompson actually offers these tires at a pretty reasonable price. So I scored these ones out. I'll be eating ramen for a week, but I don't have to worry about the safety factor on that and the front ball joints and stuff. I'm not going to be replacing my car because I totaled it because I didn't want to buy a couple $100s in tires. So safety items, be sure to take care of that stuff. They should perform on this car as admirably as they're supposed to on a new modern car. So later on we'll test that a little bit more, but for now I'm gonna worry about getting that ignition box in so that we can do a little bit of street driving now that it's safe to drive again, which it hasn't been for years. So we're waiting on the ignition box. I'll let you know when that gets here. All right, so got my new MSD box in the mail. I actually got this one used. Surprisingly, the used market on these things is freaking ridiculous. This one, even being as old as it is, was still way more overpriced than I thought it would be. But I think that's the problem that I'm having with the one in the Chevelle. It's been in there for like 10 years, so I think that's my problem, so I'm gonna go ahead and swap it out. If not, that means that I just have two still good MSD boxes, but I do think that's the problem. So it looks like it's risking a little bit of rain out there, so I'm gonna go ahead and get it swapped out as quick as I can. Hopefully that solves our problem. All right, so here's our new unit, and I got the old unit out. What I'm coming to find is there's a pretty good chance this is a perfectly good unit, and then it probably still works. But with things like this, and like this, my fascination as a 20-year-old when I put this box in with butt connectors and half-ass wiring was pretty stammering. So there's a pretty good chance that it's just something that's bad in the wiring, one of a dozen bad crimp connectors, so on and so forth. So I'm gonna clean that up and I'll end up putting that away because I might be able to use that later. However, this one, these leads are too short. I need to rerun all new wires because obviously you can't leave it how it was. So I'm gonna go ahead and solder on some new wires on all these so that I can get the box reinstalled and then run the wires to where they need to go correctly. And then I'll shrink wrap all the ends once they're all cut to length. So for now, we're gonna start by extending all these wires out and getting this right. Spent the last 2 days after work making sure that all the connections were good, soldering everything, and meticulously rewiring everything to make sure that it was right, and now it doesn't run at all. So it looks like I get to pull all that back out, try and send that back to the guy that sold it to me, clean up the box that I have, and wire it back into the car. So pretty much the last 2 days have been a complete waste of time. So in an effort to try and save a couple of bucks, I bought a secondhand MSD box to replace the one that I had in the car. The one that was in the car, I bought it about 10 years ago, and it's been in there ever since, and it was used when I bought it. So I naturally figured that mine was bad. Lo and behold, the one that I bought that was guaranteed on eBay showed up, and it was actually bad, like didn't do anything. So shipped that one back, cleaned mine up, and reinstalled it with all new wiring, and who knew? It actually runs great. So my box is still good, it's back in the car, saved a little bit of money by not replacing something I didn't have to. But now it's running correctly. So we actually took it out this morning and it runs great. Normally I'd end the video with a gratuitous burnout or something like that.
This the shit I gotta deal with in the morning. 7 o'clock in the fucking morning.
But I actually drove it around this morning and didn't feel like beating on it when I got home. So I think what needs to happen next is we're gonna move on to something else. As much as I've been reinvigorated by being able to drive the Chevelle and having it back in street form where I can actually drive it, I do have a lot of other things to work on. So we still have to work on a bunch of stuff on Kate's car, including getting those seats swapped eventually, getting a bunch of the interior color panels fixed. There's a lot of bushings and stuff to do in her car. Chevelle's still got a bunch of stuff I want to do. I want to go ahead and dyno it and turn it up a little bit. There's a mountain of parts that have to go in the ramp truck, obviously. We also need to throw a new fuel pump and a retune on Project Blitz. And eventually, I got to slap together the motor that goes in the Maverick and drag that thing in here. And I got to throw a new rear main seal in the 472 out of the Cadillac for the ramp truck. So, with the mountain of parts that I've started to accumulate for the ramp truck, I think that's what we're going to queue in next because I've already got so many parts for it. That way I can basically work on it for free because I've already spent the money on the stuff. That being said, most of the sheet metal that goes into the cab has already been replaced. So while of course body work and all those things will happen later, the main thing is structurally the cab is done. So now I can start working on things like putting in the glass, putting in seals, painting some of the stuff up, and start putting together the actual cab, including throwing in the headliner, all of the interior trim, and a carpet. So that's gonna help a lot, and it's gonna get me fired up to start working on that project again. Not to mention, it gives me a chance to recoup financially from all the other stuff that we got going on while I put in parts that I already own. So I think that's what's coming up next, but I think that's it for this one. Wackadoo out.